This is VOA News via remote. I'm Laurel Bowman. After technical issues halted its first launch attempt, NASA will try again on Saturday to get its new 30-story rocket off the ground and send its uncrewed test capsule toward the moon. If the massive Space Launch System, or SLS, lifts off successfully, it will be historic for NASA, marking the first of its Artemis program, plotting a return to the moon 50 years after the final Apollo mission. The launch is scheduled for 2:17 p.m. from Kennedy Space Center in Florida in the U.S., with a possible 2-hour delay. Though the area around the launch site will be closed to the public, 400,000 people are expected to gather on beaches nearby to see and hear the most powerful vehicle that NASA has ever launched climb up into space. NASA's initial launch attempt on Monday was halted after engineers detected a fuel leak and a sensor showed that one of the rocket's 4 main engines was too hot. Both issues have since been resolved, the launch team says. The purpose of this Artemis 1 mission is to verify that the Orion capsule, which sits atop the rocket, is safe to carry astronauts in the future. The next mission, Artemis 2, will take astronauts to the moon without landing on its surface, and the crew of Artemis 3 is to land on the moon in 2025 at the earliest, with later missions perhaps involving a lunar space station and a sustainable presence on the moon's surface. Russians pay their final respect to the last leader of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, in a ceremony held in Moscow without much fanfare and with Russian President Vladimir Putin notably absent. On Thursday, Putin privately laid flowers at Gorbachev's coffin at a Moscow hospital where he had died. This is VOA News. Fighting between Russian and Ukrainian forces is raging near Europe's biggest nuclear power plant in a Russian-held area of eastern Ukraine. The latest clashes came as inspectors from the UN's nuclear watchdog agency expressed concern over the Zaporizhzhia plant's physical integrity, but didn't blame either warring side. The International Atomic Energy Agency had said he expects to produce a report early next week after his team's visit to the plant and will brief the UN Security Council on Tuesday. Meantime, Russia's UN ambassador says it's alarming that less than 3 weeks before the annual meeting of world leaders at the UN General Assembly, not a single member of the 56-member Russian advance team and delegation, headed by Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, has received an entry visa to the United States. Vassily Nebenzia says in a letter to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, obtained by the Associated Press, that it is even more alarming since for the last several months the authorities of the United States have been constantly refusing to grant entry visas to Russians seeking to participate in UN events. And some of the other stories making headlines today: the United States announces a $1.1 billion arms package for Taiwan, vowing to keep boosting the island's defenses as tensions soar with Beijing, which warns Washington of countermeasures. Deposed Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa faces calls for his arrest after returning home from self-imposed exile under the protection of the government that took charge when he fled. Messages of shock and solidarity pour in from around the world after a man tried to shoot Argentine Vice President Cristina Kirchner at point-blank range. The gun jammed, and she's okay. Chileans prepare to head to the polls on Sunday to vote on whether or not to accept a new constitution to replace the one in use since the Augusto Pinochet dictatorship. A western heat wave is baking the western United States, the latest to blast the northern hemisphere in a summer that has brought extreme temperatures across Europe, Asia, and North America. And our top story, again, after technical issues halted its first attempt, NASA on Saturday will try again to get its new 30-story rocket off the ground and send its unmanned test capsule toward the moon. Reporting via remote, I'm Laurel Bowman for VOA News.
There are more than 200 million people living in the United States today. 51 of them are Soviet deep cover agents, hypnotically programmed to become instruments of total destruction. They don't know who they are, but one man knows that all it will take to trigger them is a simple phone call.
Your phone first. It's life and death.
Hey, don't I know you?
If it goes out, it means the death of millions of people, everyone watching. Don't you understand that? Well, say it's a bomb, then say whatever you want. Say whatever you like, just get it off the air. You've got to, please, stop it. Stop it now. Turn it off. Turn it off. Stop. Stop. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.